Speaker 52. Philip Bregman, please approach the podium. You have up to 5 minutes, and please begin.
Thank you. I'm Rabbi Philip Bregman. I am the Rabbi Emeritus of Temple Shalom, so whatever Dan said, yes. Our building is located now at 7190 Oak. Why? Because when I was the rabbi in 1985, January 25th, that building was firebombed with a Molotov cocktail and destroyed. And the mayor of the time, Mike Harcourt, was furious, empathetic, supportive that it happened under his watch. These eyes have seen the anti-Semitism. These ears have heard it. I was born in a small town called Galt, Ontario, now called Cambridge. I grew up with anti-Semitism. I know exactly what it feels like, what it tastes like. And this definition hits it right on the head. I receive death threats. I receive violence. I don't know if you've ever built a building, a synagogue, a church, a mosque, and have to go to the contractor and say, we need bulletproof glass. I don't know if you know what that does to me as a Canadian here to say, in my country, in this city, and I've been here since 1980. And after I retired, or supposedly retired in 2013, I was asked to become the executive director of Hillel, of the Jewish student organization on campus. And boy, if I thought I saw anti-Semitism before, it was nothing compared to what I saw on the campus. I saw the swastikas. I witnessed the physical violence on our property of one of our staff members by a staff person at UBC because they did not like the fact that we were opposing BDS. I have gone and been the advocate for students when they have heard hurtful, horrible, hateful things in a classroom. Oh, Hamas was only sending water balloons over, water balloons. And I had a student whose beloved cousin was killed by what, a water balloon? And when we went to discuss this with the professor, he admitted he really didn't have enough information and probably shouldn't have been teaching the course. Wow, thank you. So what are you going to do now with the 200 students who have not heard that statement? Could you please tell me that you're going to send out an email and repeat to them exactly what you've told the student and myself here? Did we get the email? Of course not. And about 18 months ago, I left Hillel, and now the next chapter. I'm the Interfaith liaison for the Jewish Federation of Greater Vancouver. And with that, I immediately formed a team. It's an interfaith, intercultural team. There's 7 of us. A representative of Christianity, of Islam, the Sikh individual, the Sikh religion, Asian, Buddhist, Indigenous, Black, and myself. And we're called the other people. Why? Because each one of us in Canada at one time or another has been the other person. And we go around to classrooms, to high schools. In the first year, we spoke to over 1,000 students, continue to do so. On more than one occasion, students have come up to me and said, Rabbi, I have a question. Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, Alberta, British Columbia, cities across Canada have adopted the definition, what's the matter with Vancouver? And my response was back in May, well, we're going to be having civic elections in October. And it is my hope that we will have a council who will have the courage to do it. What will it do? Is this going to end anti-Semitism? Of course not. But it is another tool in the box. It is another thing whereby we can say to teachers, to students, to parents, this is the definition. You know, one of the schools we spoke to this past year, we got the call from the principal of the senior high school in Salmon Arm. I don't know if you know, but Salmon Arm purported to be the white supremacy capital of Canada. And by the way, when we speak, we ask that the questions from the students come in anonymously so that they can have an opportunity to ask whatever it is they want to ask. We have never seen or heard such bigoted, racist questions, and each one of them was answered because we're trying to teach. For so many of these students, it's the first time that they're going to see panim al panim, the Hebrew for face to face, a Jew, a Muslim, a Sikh, an indigenous chief, a representative of the Black community, a representative of the Asian community, the Sikh community. We are teaching. We are using every ounce that we have.
Rabbi Bregman, apologies for interrupting, but we have questions for you from Councillor Kirby-Young. Councillor Kirby-Young, please go ahead.
Hi, Rabbi. Thank you for being here. You talked about, and I thought it was a very powerful, illustrative story when you talked about what happened at UBC and that professor. And these are places of education. My perspective on this is that at heart, this is about the power of education, and this is an educational tool. Am I hearing you, and do you want to provide further comment on if you feel that the education is lacking and that's really the gap that we're seeking to fill here?
I think education is always lacking. I think we can always do better. And we can take a look at what we've done and where we need to go. Education is dependent on a number of key ingredients, not the least of which are individuals who know the subject and are able to put, and this is one of the things we discuss with our kids, their implicit bias, first of all, to recognize it and then to put it aside or to deal with it. They need to deal with it. We all have it. Sometimes the implicit bias is benign. We all think Toronto sucks. Okay, but that happens to be true, even though I'm from Toronto. But that's okay, maybe on the sports field or the hockey rink or whatever. But there's other implicit bias that is tremendously dangerous. So education is a key. But we need to be able to get to the people who are not only teaching, but the ears that are listening. One of the most phenomenal things that we've heard from students who have come up to us afterwards and said, I have to admit, I really do have some negative feelings about, or had negative feelings about A, B, and C. And it's not that we magically had it all disappear, but we've put something out there for them to seriously think about. We need the cooperation of the families, of the parents. We need to be able to go into communities and say, what are you teaching in your homes? What are you teaching in your synagogues, in your mosques, in your temples? What are you teaching? What are the students hearing? What are they picking up? We are so far behind when it comes to social media, because that's where so much of the information or misinformation is out there. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to try. And we do it by being there in person.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. You also have questions from Mayor Sim. Mayor Sim, you have up to 3 minutes.
Great. Thank you very much. Yeah, you sort of got cut off when you were talking about your experience in Salmon Arm, and I'd like to hear a little bit more about that, if that's okay.
So there's two high schools, grades 9 and 10 and 11 and 12. And we got the questions that came in. And from the grade 11 and 12, they were pretty much the same as questions. Some were a little offside, but the questions from the grades 9 and my 10, oi, we have, it's got this great word in Yiddish, oi, or oi vezmir. They went after the Asians. They went after the Muslims. They went after the Jews. They went after the Black representative with a vengeance. They didn't say simply the N-word, they said the word. And boy, our Black representative, Jamira, who's the youngest member of our team, boy, did she school these individuals in a caring, loving, and important way. I was speaking at the beginning, giving a definition of racism, bigotry, implicit bias, and 4 grade 9 students thought it was okay to stand up in a public school in an auditorium with the rabbi speaking and give the Sieg Heil Hitler salute. That's how confident they felt. They were immediately whisked away. I'm not sure what's happened afterwards, but boy, it said it all. It really did. And we're still working with that community and working with individuals within that community, as we are with individuals actually in the Okanagan. We had a professor from UBC Okanagan who turned in to our presentation by Zoom, and she wrote me afterwards and said, I don't know if you realize, but what you really did was a community-wide intervention. And we're working with that professor, who quite honestly is fearful for her life as a non-white professor at UBC Okanagan. Do we know what's going on there? We do. Boy, talk about deflection as what's going on here, where people are saying, oh, I'm all in favor of fighting anti-Semitism. However, this particular definition, and all of a sudden we're off to Israel. Why? It's called deflection. Deal with the resolution. Deal with what it's trying to do. And if the Jewish community says, this is the one, and is it every Jew? No, but the vast majority, and you've heard it from Rabbi Moskowitz, you heard it from Nico, this is what the majority of the community says. So what's the conversation? What's the debate? And yes, we need to be going after definitions of what Islamophobia is about and what anti-Asianism is about. But if you say, as someone I heard said, well, if we do this definition, we're going to have to do the others. Okay. You know what that reminds me of? I come to you and say, counselors, we have a very, very dangerous intersection. People are dying. People are getting hurt. We need to put a traffic light there. And somebody says, well, Rabbi, if we put a traffic light there, we're going to have to put traffic lights here, 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 and here. So what's the problem? This is where we start.
Rabbi Bregman, I'm so sorry to do this, but I'm going to have to close it. But thank you.
You have done something that no one else has been able to do in 41 years. So.
I did wait about 45 extra seconds. Thank you very much.